you!
The sudden scream snapped me awake. What's wrong?
Sister!
As soon as he saw me, Gretel collapsed on the spot. Were you yelling that at the wizard after your very long flashback? Gretel! I jumped out of bed and tried to approach him. Whoa! But my ribbon snagged on something and I fell to the floor like a sack of potatoes. Ow, 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 ow! As it turned out, trying to move around in the dark was a lot trickier than you'd think. Especially when your hands and feet were bound. Who knew? Okay, very quick. I need to, process that entire flashback. So, I've got very complicated feelings about it. I'm torn on it. But at least we have, some motivation, some background. I still feel like there must have been something before even that incident for Ryoshi to be, that intense, to prescribe that level of intensity of a treatment for him. Since his medication is causing others to lose their memories, I wonder if it's done the same for him or maybe other medication he's taken in the past. I'm not sure. But there's still, a big piece of the puzzle I feel I'm missing. But I will say I'm torn, and I do appreciate that they gave him some reasons for why he is the way he is. It's not an exact Toma situation, which I'm very thankful for. Because Toma, I'm just you have no redeeming qualities. You have no real motivations for anything you're doing. You're just doing it because protection. But with Gretel, there's some legitimate fears and other issues at play. So I'm okay, I can at least accept that, if nothing else. All right, let's keep jumping in. Maybe we'll get some even more background. Who knows? I'm hoping there's another piece to this puzzle I'm missing. Thank you. He helped me to my feet, then pulled me into a hug. Gretel? Looking up at him, I was startled to see his eyes full of tears. I take it you didn't sell me out for more candy? I hope. Then he pulled my head against his chest like he didn't want me to see them.
Sister, I refuse to let anyone else have you. You're my dearest treasure, sister. Without you, I have nothing. So I have no choice but to protect you with my own two hands. I refuse to give you up.
It almost sounded like he was talking to himself rather than me. As usual, I was powerless to do anything. I couldn't hug him back. I couldn't wipe away his tears. But since he was the one who tied me up, it was apparently what he wanted. Eventually, Gretel slowly pulled away from me. Our eyes met. His gaze wavered.
Sister, I have to leave now.
Where are you going? He didn't give me an answer, so I offered one of my own. To Ryoshi's house.
Yes.
He was going back to get more candy. Candy he needed in order to control himself.
Will you wait here until I return?
Will you wait for him as requested? I'll wait for him, I'll go with him, I'll stop him. Oof. Choices, choices. I mean, this medication is not good. Or at least the amount he's taken to cope is not good. He's become addicted to it. And now it's hurting more than helping. He already said no to the wizard. Maybe we can help him break this. Do I dare to hope? Do I dare to save? Well, this game, auto-saves every choice, so I'm not too worried. I'm gonna go with I'll stop him. Don't go. Don't go. Please, don't leave me all alone.
Sister. I need you to sit tight and be patient, sister.
He grabbed the jar of star candies, opened it, and pulled one out. I could tell he was going to feed it to me, but what I wasn't expecting was for him to grab the back of my head and nearly force his fingers down my throat. Rude, I'm trying to help you. I was so startled I accidentally bit down. But Gretel didn't retract his fingers, he simply grimaced slightly. Unfortunately for me, he was triggering my gag reflex. Tears welled in my eyes.
Please swallow. I'm sorry. I would have liked to be more gentle about this, but knowing me, I'd probably lose control.
I realized he was going to keep his fingers in my mouth for as long as it took, so I guided the candy to the back of my throat and swallowed.
Did you swallow it?
Uh-huh.
I nodded.
Then finally, Gretel pulled his fingers out of my mouth. Thanks. I choked, spraying spittle everywhere. Hastily, I tilted my head down and pursed my lips. My body was burning with shame. But Gretel grabbed my chin, tilted my face up, and wiped my spit with his sleeve. Don't! Your sleeve will get all gross.
I don't mind a little spit if it's yours.
He hoisted me up and carried me into the giant bird cage at the center of the room. Oh, joy. I'm so glad we're making use of this thing, finally. I would have been very disappointed if we had just never, used it at all this route, she says, with heavy sarcasm. Then he walked out and locked the cage door behind him.
Sister.
He reached for me through the metal bars. I approached him and his fingertips brushed my hair. What was I just saying about tomophiles?
Just stay put for a while. It's for my own sanity.
What do you mean?
As long as you're in there, no one will take you away. Nor will you leave of your own accord. Nor will you put yourself in harm's way. Soon the candy will kick in and you'll get sleepy. And by the time you wake up, I'll be back.
Gretel.
See you soon, okay?
Wait! As he rose to his feet, I called after him. I probably would have grabbed his arm, too, if my hands weren't tied. I looked up at him from the floor. Can I make just one request?
What is it?
Oh, so many options. What is our request? Don't hurt anyone? Don't get hurt. Don't hurt yourself for my sake. Please come back to me. Ooh. Definitely not the top one. I kind of don't think it's the second one either. I'm feeling number 3. I'm feeling number 3. Please don't hurt yourself for my sake.
What do you mean for your sake?
The more you try to protect me, the more you'll end up hurting yourself. Can you accept this selfish demand of mine?
Of course. A younger brother can never disobey his older sister.
I feel like there's probably more than a few younger brothers that would not agree with that statement. I also like that you choose what you obey and what you don't obey. Like, if I ask, get me out of here, you probably wouldn't obey that, would you? Right.
Okay, then. I'll be back soon. Eureka.
Come home safe, Gretel. He called her by her name. He didn't say sister. Do I dare to hope that we're making some progress? Please, for the love of everything. Once I made sure Gretel was gone, I spat the candy onto the floor. Good job, girl. I knew you hid that. I felt bad, since I knew he was only trying to look out for me, but it was a pill I couldn't swallow. Now then. Will you break out of your wrist restraints? Ooh! We've got all our answers. Oh man, I hate these yes-nos, though. I really do. I think it's time. I think it's time we bust out. I let out a breath, then wrestled with my wrist restraints, trying to break free. I was hoping to slip out once they were loose enough, but it wasn't going well. Minutes ticked by, probably 20 or 30. Gradually, my arms started to get tired, and I was forced to take a break. Hey, Mr. Wizard, you know when you said you were gonna come by again? Help! Phew. My arms went so numb, they started to feel like someone else's. Ooh. It was a strange feeling, to say the least. I hate that. I was sick of having my arms tied up all the time, even if I was relatively certain Gretel was going to untie them eventually. After a short break, I went back to fighting with the ribbon, tugging and loosening over and over. I didn't care if I pulled a muscle. Anything to get out of these restraints. Eventually, I'm out! At long last, I managed to create a gap big enough to pull one of my wrists through. The rest of the ribbon fell to the floor. Thankfully, Gretel had tied the knot loosely as a courtesy to me. With my hands free, I quickly made short work of my ankle restraints. My next target, the cage door. The metal bars were cold to the touch, threatening to freeze me to the core. Locked from the outside, the door refused to budge no matter how hard I pushed or pulled. The joy of escaping my bonds was swiftly crushed. In the end, untying myself was only one small step. It didn't solve the bigger issue at hand. Brrr. I took a breath of cold air and exhaled. Glancing at the wood-burning stove, I could see bright orange flames through the glass window. I'd asked Gretel to put the fire on before he left, since I was cold. As I gazed at the fire, I thought about Gretel.
And so, leaving my sister behind in the candy house, I wandered alone through the dark forest. No light to illuminate my path, no white pebbles to guide me. All I could do was hunt for the exit. When I traversed these woods with my sister, I wasn't scared at all, but now I was overcome with crushing fear. Sister. An uncontrollable wave of emotions rose up, and I reached for my candy, but the jar was really running low. And if I ate some now, there'd be even less for later. God damn it! I vented my impulsive rage on a nearby tree. I had used my precious candy to help my sister stay calm. I knew I didn't have any other choice, but I still regretted it. And then I cursed myself for feeling that way at all. Quit wasting time wandering around and just find a way out already. I know. And yet I was rooted to the spot. I looked down at the pills in my hand and thought of my sister. She had seen right through me. She knew I was addicted to the candy, that I was starting to conserve it as the days went by. I guess I never can win with her. I let out a self-deprecating laugh. Returning the candy to the jar, I once again dragged my leaden legs through the darkness. As I walked, I thought back to the moment right before I left the house. My sister had licked the candy from my fingers.
Oh God, why?
Her wet lips, her damp breath, her warm tongue. I couldn't get it out of my head. The memory of her warmth made my body tremble as a fever raced through it. My inner demon tempted me.
Oh! That's pretty... that's good. Nice. I like it. If you call your inner demon Hansel, I'm out, by the way. Just so we're clear, I'm walking away. I'm just gonna go.
Hey, why bother going out of your way for more candy? Go back home to your sister. I can't do that. I need the candy in order to keep living there with her. My inner demon taunted me. Oh, you'll be fine. You don't need that silly candy. Your sweet sister will love you anyway. That's not true. Yes, it is. Didn't she say she would accept you no matter what? You tied her up, teased her, plunged her into darkness, then threw her in a cage. But she was kind enough to accept your sadism. She never stopped loving you. So even if you devoured her, I'm sure she'd forgive you. Don't you think maybe she wants to be an outlet for your libido? My inner demon enticed me. Come on, Gretel. Quit dragging your feet. Hurry back and feast on your sister. But each time I shook my head tearfully. No! I don't want to! God, I'm losing it. I bet she's out cold right about now. And she's all tied up. You could do whatever you want. Yours to eat. Yours to fuck. Stop! What are you so upset about? Trying to act like a good boy? You know she's in love with you. She wouldn't say no. Besides, she's not actually your sister. I told you to stop! My inner demon scoffed at me. Go back to hell, you asshole! I'll fucking kill you! But no matter how I lashed out, the demon kept talking. I'd love to see you try, but I know you can't do it, you coward. Think about it. Why did you get so mad that one time? What? You know, that one time. When you flipped out and sent that punk to the hospital. I don't remember. There's 0 chance you don't remember. Because that was the moment you ruined your perfect little brother persona. My persona is smart and athletic and mature and responsible. Everyone turns to me for help. What a joke. The real you is nothing like that. You are just trying your best to pretend. Be quiet. Oh, that's right. I remember now. I bet you jack off to your sister's naked body every night, don't you? You sick freak, wasn't it? I told you to be quiet! I dug my nails into my scalp. My body wouldn't stop shaking. He was right, wasn't he? Wasn't he, Mr. Thin-Skinned Gretel? No, it's not true! It's not true! It's not true! Oh, I think it is. While the two of you slept under the same roof, you were imagining her as an outlet for your lust. What a pervert! Ogling his precious older sister like a creep. I didn't! You blamed her for not seeing you as a brother, but deep down, you didn't see her as a sister either. Isn't that right? And when someone finally called you out on it, you flipped out, and everything went off the rails from there. You brought it all on yourself. That's not true!
When you found out your sister was nearly raped, I bet you were actually jealous of them. You wished you could force yourself on her too. It was infuriating, wasn't it? There you were, begging for a treat like a dog, when a pack of mutts came along and tried to steal it out from under you.
Shut the fuck up, you piece of shit!
You can't make me. This voice you're hearing, your inner demon, it's just you.
I wanted to tear out my memories, delete my shameful past. Please just stop. Don't tarnish my perfect sister.
I wonder when it all began. When was it that I stopped seeing her as my sister?
It wasn't like that in the beginning. In the beginning, I never once questioned that she was my real sister. But once I realized we were total strangers, my inner demon was born.
And the demon whispered, I want to devour my sumptuous sister.
But that might not really be the case.
What do you mean?
Maybe I only realized we weren't related because I fell in love with her.
Why, that would turn everything on its head.
Think about it. I looked nothing like the rest of them. Obviously, I was going to notice.
While you were living with her in the candy house, you pretended to enjoy teasing her. But really, you were fighting to hold yourself back.
Can you blame me? The way she reacted. Anyone would struggle. If I had to describe my days in the candy house, it was hell in heaven's clothing. My charming, innocent sister, begging to be eaten.
But I held back.
I suppressed my lustful urges and chose to stay by her side instead.
Plus, I begged her not to abandon me.
Because I thought it'd be better to stay siblings.
Why? Because the bond would last longer.
Yeah, exactly. As her boyfriend, I'm just some guy. Blood ties are far more important.
Not that you have any blood ties.
I know, okay? But as long as I turned a blind eye to it, as long as I refused to acknowledge it, she would stay my sister for as long as I wanted.
Right, of course. She's such a saint. She called me her precious baby brother.
Yeah.
But this means I can never kiss her or have sex with her, because it'd be weird for siblings to do that.
Just shut up. I downed the rest of the candy all at once.
Sheesh. Holy crap. What an argument with yourself. Okay, I mean, I figured that was the reason for him being like, no, I need to be your brother. Because he's like, I need that connection with her. Otherwise, like, we're not on equal footing at all. I'm just trash, and she's special forever. And if I don't keep that connection, then it's all over, basically. And I'm like, oh, boy. But at least I was on the money with that. Okay, I understood that correctly.
Then, finally, the voice went away. The next thing I knew, I had made it out of the forest and was now standing out in front of a house. Is this our house? It was our old home. Or rather, my sister's. I never had a place I could call home. I was abandoned by my real parents and had to face the world alone. Until my sister came along and took me in. I couldn't even remember what my real parents looked like. Were they alive or dead? I couldn't care less. After all, I had gained something irreplaceable to me. I was starved for love, and she came along and gave me her sweet candy. My wicked little witch. She made my candy house dreams come true. I put my hand on the doorknob and found that it wasn't locked. I could remember those crazy days like it was only yesterday. As I opened the front door, my sister greeted me, wearing an apron and a bright smile.
Welcome home, Gretel.
Glad to be back, sister.
Did you pass out in the forest after eating all that candy and now you're like in a weird medicated dream? Because I would not be surprised. Several hours had passed since Gretel left the house. Yeah. The room was now plenty warm, which in turn kindled my drowsiness. I forced my heavy lids open again and again until just as I finally started to drift off, I heard someone knocking at the door. Come in, please. Instantly I snapped awake. Then I held my breath and waited. Maybe the knocking was just a dream. Could it be Mr. Wizard? No, that doesn't make sense. The wizard wouldn't need to knock. He could simply come and go of his own accord. True, but he did knock on the window the first time. I strained my ears, listening carefully. In the silence, I heard another knock. It wasn't a dream after all. As I debated whether to call out, I heard a man's muffled voice on the other side of the door. Oh my gosh, Red, really? Dang, you better get a promotion in the police force, sir.
Hello. Is anyone there?
Red! Evidently, the Sandman wasn't my only visitor. Will you call out to the surprise visitor? Yes, I need to get out of here and find my dumb brother. I needed to take action. I took a deep, deep breath and blew the house down. And then... Red! It's me! Eureka Arisu! I shouted at the top of my lungs. It was the only course of action available to me.
Miss Arisu.
Thankfully, he heard me. He's got good ears. Red, please! You have to get in here!
Huh? Right. Oh, but it's locked.
I could hear him wrestling with the padlock, followed by a banging sound. It was clear that he was trying to kick the door down. Nice! Then I heard the splinter of wood, and the next thing I knew, moonlight spilled into the darkness. A shadowy figure stood there.
Whew!
It was the heroic Officer Red Riding Hood, here to rescue me at long last! Yay!
I apologize for taking so long. What's the matter, Miss Arisu?
When he spotted me, his jaw dropped. Hi, Red. I smiled.
That's it. Just hi.
He stared back blankly. I know it looks bad. No, actually it is bad, but I'll have to explain later. No surprise there. After all, not many people would smile and say hi after being trapped in a cage in a pitch-black cabin.
Don't tell me. Did those delinquents do this to you?
No, it wasn't them. It was Gretel, actually. I laughed awkwardly.
Gretel imprisoned you here.
At this, he scanned the room. Oh, he's not here right now.
I see.
He crouched down to meet my eye level. By the way, Red, what brings you to a place like this? I tilted my head inquisitively. I never imagined we'd get any visitors out here, other than the wild card that was the wizard, of course. Of course. Granted, I didn't know exactly how much time had passed since we first arrived at the candy house, but it was at least enough to heal my injuries. And since no one had visited in that time, I figured there was some kind of mystical force at play warding them all off. But now, it was obviously time to break out. Red averted his gaze.
I was patrolling the forest when I spotted this suspicious cabin.
You patrol the forest?
Well, after what happened to you, I figured I should start taking more precautions.
I nodded. That made sense. Especially for someone as virtuous as Red Riding Hood. Gotcha. Thank you, Red. I gazed into his eyes.
No need to thank me.
He pulled his hood down low over his eyes.
Anyway, I'm glad you're safe. I'll get you out of there right away.
How?
What do you mean, how?
He stared back confused. Because Gretel has the key? After a moment of silence,
I shall bust the lock!
he raised his fist with an intent look on his face.
First things first.
Clearing his throat, he walked out of the cabin. Then he returned carrying what appeared to be an axe. I don't know how successful you'll be with that, but try it.
Stand back now.
Oh, okay. Way ahead of you, buddy. He raised the axe high over his head.
Here I go!
Then he swung the blade down. A shrill clang echoed through the room. I should have expected the sound, but regardless, I flinched and squeezed my eyes shut.
Why?
Timidly, I opened my eyes. Red stared blankly between the axe and the cage door lock. In other words, nothing happened.
It didn't even leave a scratch.
He blinked in confusion, as if he had encountered the world's strongest padlock. It appears we'll have to wait for Gretel after all. This was the sensible approach.
I'm sorry I couldn't be of more help.
He slumped his shoulders in defeat. Don't let it get you down. I really, really appreciate the attempt. Hastily, I tried to cheer him up.
But...
Red looked at me with a conflicted, almost pitying expression on his face. Do we have hair clips that he could use to pick the lock by any chance? Evidently, he was still trying to figure out a way to get me out. Seriously, don't worry about it. I was never planning to escape in the first place. I grinned, hoping to convince him that I wasn't devastated over it.
Is this for Gretel?
Huh?
Are you choosing to remain prisoner here because of Gretel?
Yeah, you could say that. I'm here by my own choice. If I leave, I'll need Gretel's permission since he's in charge.
Why did he lock you up like this in the first place?
To protect me from demons, supposedly. Red furrowed his brow dubiously.
What demons?
No idea. I shrugged.
I can't claim to understand this logic, but I suppose it's proof of just how much he cares for you. Perhaps he sees protecting you as the objectively correct course of action, even if it makes him a villain. I apologize for speaking as if I'm an authority on the subject. Just because he's locked you up in here doesn't necessarily make him a villain.
No, it's fine. He scanned the room once more.
I must say, there is something unsettling about this place. Almost unnatural. White, white, white as far as the eye can see. There's something very suffocating about it. And what is that strange smell? Almost like something's burning.
Well, I don't see anything weird. I glanced over at the wood-burning stove, and Red followed my gaze. The fire was crackling gently, as usual.
Indeed.
He seemed to accept this, turning his gaze to me instead.
If I were locked up in here, I don't think I could stay sane. I mean, not to suggest that you yourself are of less than sound mind or anything of the sort.
Nice try, Red. I cleared my throat. I admit this is far from normal. I'm unable to move, forced to heed orders, forced to swallow things against my will. I'm sure any ordinary person would break under these conditions. I looked out through the bars at the rest of the room. The bars added a vertical stripe effect to the scenery around me. The result was suffocating and oppressive. I thought back to the time Gretel and I were separated. He was treated like a nutcase and locked up in a tiny room, all because of me. A perfect mirror image of my current circumstances. His arms and legs were bound, and he lost all sense of time. He must have been so scared and miserable. The more I thought about it, the more my chest ached. I hung my head.
Miss Arisu.
I could hear the sympathy and concern in Red's voice. Sorry, Red. Looks like I've wasted your time. I spoke in a tone of forced cheer, hoping to clear away the gloom in the air.
It's no trouble. Is there anything else I can do for you?
I paused to think for a moment. Say, Red, could I send you out on an errand for me?